application how we store some information inside those. So this is how we save. And if you want to see so here you can see that we are able to print it. And if you want to add some information to the existing set which we have, so for that we have a method called add. Maybe I'll add some 3, 4, 5. After adding, it's 3, 4, 5 is added at the end of it. So when every time you want to add it, you're going to add it to the end. And if you want to remove any particular element from it, we can use method called remove. So let's suppose I want to remove 4. After remove, it would remove the 4 over here. And in the same way, if you want to try remove some other element which is not there inside a set, it will throw an error. So in this situation, we have an alternative which we can use. So maybe every time we can use discard method instead of remove. So discard will basically help us to remove an element. If it's there in the set, it will remove. If it's not there, it won't throw an error. It will move on. So we'll start with 4 first. So after discard, it removed 4. So even if I try some other element which is not there inside a set, it's not going to throw an error. It will basically move on. So that's what happens when we try to do those things. And this for this. And I think in the same way we discussed pop, I guess. After this is a method which will return something. It's not, even if you do something like this, it will basically the same. Here we try to pop one element. So here we try to pop some element which is 2. So in the older version, it used to randomly pick up one element in the entire set because set doesn't follow an order. So right now, all the sets which we are trying to declare, it's being in a sorting manner. So that's why it will choose the first element every time you do it. So basically, not just first element which you see it, the least element inside the set. Even if you try to declare some other bigger data, it will remove 4. So it will basically take out the least element out of it. So this is how pop works. I think we just have update as well. So here you can see after we are trying to update, basically we'll take whatever the elements which is there in the set which we are giving inside it and copy all those things into the first one. And in the same way, set will not allow to have any duplicate elements if you are trying to put it. So it will remove all duplicates inside a set, and it will merge both those two sets, and it will remove duplicates over there. So I think these are the things which we discussed yesterday. Did we forget something? I think something, some one method which I forgot to tell you guys even on list also, which is copy. So there is a method called copy, and I'll show you the use case of copy. So I'm creating one more variable called set3, and I'm putting all the information which is there in set1 inside set3. Maybe I'll do it here. So all the information which is there inside set1, this will move to set3 as well. So at the end, I'm trying to print set3. Here you can see whatever the information which is there inside set1, it will be there on set3 as well, because we are trying to, we are not, so whatever we wrote over here, we are not trying to put all the data which is there inside it. It will basically point out to the location where this particular set is actually present at. It will, if there is some X location of maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, so this particular path, so wherever the location is, this particular information is storing, this location is pointed out to set3. So whatever the information which you are trying to make, all the changes on the set1, the parent one which you are trying to add, it will reflect on set3 as well. So we don't want that. So we are just trying to copy this one, because later on if we have to use it, so maybe on those purposes we are trying to have it. So we don't want that duplication or whatever the thing which is happening. We don't want that thing. So there is a method called copy. So copy is there in list as well. The same thing will happen on list also. So even if you try to declare one and you are trying to put that variable inside one more, and if you edit something on the first list, so it will affect on second list as well. As we are changing on first one, the same reference of location it will pass to the second variable which you created as well. So instead of that, if you are trying to copy, which is a method, it will copy the information. It won't copy the reference of it. It will store in the new location where it won't create a problem for the other variable which you are trying to create. So if you see right now, so we have 8246 which is initially there. This is the initial data which is there in set one. So here we are trying to print set3. So this is how copy works. This is much more useful when you are trying to put the copy of one variable. As we are trying to do some part of code here, I also want to preserve the initial data of set1. So in those situations, we can use copy, and that would be helpful at few situations also. Maybe take note down for list also that we can use copy, and this is how we do it. And I also remember one more thing which we missed is there is something called delete parameter where it will delete the entire variable. So right now we create a set1, and there is functionality which is called del. So del space. So it's basically delete the entire variable, what are the information which is there inside, and if you are trying to print it, so it will run till here because set1 is there. So here we deleted the set1 variable completely. So we don't have the reference to set1 right now. So it will throw an error. In the same way, we can use the same del for removing any indexes from list also. Maybe let's suppose we have a list of 1, and we are trying to remove, we just remove third index of it. So third index basically is 4 here. So it removed 4. So we can use delete for these also, removing any information which is there inside these. So it won't happen on tuple or sets because we cannot iterate in the same manner, as we cannot access those information like that. So this is how you can do delete as well. Delete of set 1. So I do. So after this, so we wanted to discuss a few things which are union, intersection, and difference. So we'll see how exactly these things are, why, where exactly we can use these things. Maybe before going to that, if you have any questions, please write on the chat what we discussed little on sets. It's the same thing which we discussed yesterday. I was just trying to make you guys remember what exactly will happen in the sets. Yeah, if you don't have any questions, we'll just move on to unions and things. Please let me know in the chat if you have any questions. So lists are completely, yeah. So I'll tell you both. So lists are completely mutable. You can have duplicates inside it. You can edit any information which is there inside a list. So you can manipulate all those things. But when it comes to set, so right now you can see that I added 2, 4, 6, 8, 4 again. So you can see 4 twice. So set won't allow you to have duplicates at all. Even if you try to add one more data, so it will remove that particular data from it completely. So it will remove 4. So right now it removed 4. It will allow only one occurrence of any data inside the set. So that's the main use case of set, that it won't allow to have duplicates. And these are immutable. You cannot edit these information which is there inside a tuple. So every tuple will have an index value. So 0th index, first index, like that. You cannot edit the index value. Maybe you can edit the information which is there inside that index. Maybe if you are having a list in this place, you can edit that information. So basically list will act in that way, that these are completely immutable. So you can use this situation, use this tuple when if you don't want to edit that particular variable information at all at any point. So maybe you can use tuple at that point. So that's the main use case of tuple and list and sets. Copy method. So I'll give example on list itself, so that would be clear. So list 1 is 6, and I created one more variable, which is list 2. So here what will happen, it will create a variable with this data 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 as the data inside a list. And I created one more variable, which is list 2. And I want to put all the information which is there inside a list 1 and put it here. I don't want to write again 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe this, if you want to do it like this. So instead of that, I'm just trying to put the variable information itself. So I'm just trying to put list 1 inside list 2 so that both will have same data. So here you can see both have same data. And right now I'm trying to add some data to append something 23. I'm trying to append some value to list one, which will come at the end of it. So here you can see I'm printing. I think I'm printing both same. Yeah. So if you try to print it here, it added 23 to list one, and it added 23 to list two as well. I don't want that happen because I'm just adding data to list one itself. I'm not adding to list two. It's happening because every data which we are trying to add it here, there is a location where we are trying to put this information. And maybe let's suppose this particular location is some X location, maybe inside your computer. And when you're trying to do this particular line, it won't copy the information inside it. It will reference that location part to this variable. So every time you access this variable, it will, if you're trying right now, if you're trying to print list one, it will go to that particular location where exactly it is, and it will fetch the information. So the same thing is happening over here. It's not copying this information. It will basically point out that location to this variable. So any changes you make on the list one, it will reflect on list two as well, because we are not copying just the information over here. So that's why there is a method called copy. Copy will basically will just copy the information. It won't copy the location of it. So some X location, if you have some some maybe desktop or something, let's suppose for example. So this information is stored inside your desktop. So it will go, right now in this situation, it won't go to desktop, that particular location, and fetch the information. It will just copy that information, only this data, and put it inside list two. So if you do that, now you won't see that 23, which will happen over here. What mistake I'm doing here? Okay, I didn't save it. Sorry. Yeah. So these also you need to make sure that you need to save file every time. So every time you make some change, you need to save it. So right now I didn't save it and I'm trying to run it. I'm getting the same output. So here you don't see 23 because we are trying to copy the information. So every time you make some change to list one right now, it won't reflect on list two. So that's the main use of copy. So copy is very useful at many situations. If you don't want to, so right now I'm changing something over here. I also want the initial data of list one. So this is how I'm storing list two, a variable which is here, and I'm trying to copy it. So that's the main use case of copy. I hope that answered your question, Rohit. If you have anything which you still don't understand, we can discuss. Let me know on the chat if you have any question. I think Rohit, please respond that if it's clear, if you need more explanation again.
Sir, explain once again.
You want copy again? You want me to explain copy, or what exactly you want me to explain again?
The copy method.
Okay. So is it clear that we are trying to put some information, some data inside list one, and we are trying to We are having same information here also. So we are trying to append 23 to list 1, and it's appending to list 1, and it's not doing anything to list 2. This is fine. So instead of doing it like this, I don't know. So the information. So I just want to copy the data which is there inside list 1 and put it inside list 2. I don't want this to happen. So I want to copy this variable information into this one. So if you are doing something like this, so whatever the changes which you make on the parent one, so the parent one over here is list 1. So the whatever the information which you are trying to change in list 1 will reflect on list 2 as well, because here we are not copying this information here. So every data which we put here, maybe list or any other things, maybe list, integer, strings and things. So it will just basically there is some location which every data will be stored. So right now this particular data is stored in this location, and in the same way we created multiple sets over there on the top. Even sets will be at some location, and if we are trying to do something like this again, so if we are doing something like this again, this particular data will go to some other location, because we are trying to store the same data, but even doesn't matter, it will store in a new location. But when we are trying to put this list 1 inside this list 2, it will basically point out to the same one which is there at the list 1. It won't create a new one. It will basically at the same point, it will fetch information from the same location where the initial information is stored. So if you are trying to change something, maybe if you are trying to remove this particular 3 over here, even when you're doing when you're printing list 2, it will go here and fetch the same thing, because every both the variables are pointing to one location itself. So if you are trying to remove this 3 from here, it will go to this location and it will fetch that information. So here 3 won't be there. So 3 won't be there at all, because we removed it from here. Maybe we are doing some thing over here and we remove 3, and the same thing will happen for list 2 as well. So we don't want that to happen. So we want it to be pointed to the new location instead of the same one which is there in the list 1. So in those situations, if you want to do something like that, we will use copy method. Copy will basically copy this information and store it in new location again. It won't point out to the same one which is list 1 is trying to point out. So even if you try to change something on list 1, it doesn't matter. So these two are independent right now. So even if I try to append, it won't show anything over here, because it will show the initial data which we are trying to put. So that's the main use case of copy. But we are trying to copy information. We are not trying to copy the location where exactly the data is. No, so every method has their own use case. Everything won't act in the same manner. So extend will add to a list. Append will add one data inside a list at the end of it. So inside in the same way will add at some point, add in the same way. So maybe you can also Google from your side that how exactly these things work on the list. Maybe you'll have also clear idea. So we discussed all these part of list and everything in our, I think, third class or something, third class or fourth class. So maybe you can go through all those methods which we discussed again. Maybe if you still have doubt, that if you don't understand, maybe we can discuss again. So right now I'm giving overview. You don't need to remember everything. The mainly you will be using append at most of your situation and insert. And in the same way, remove as well, where on list we have remove also. I'm trying to remove 4 from here, it will remove 4. So here it removed 4 row. There is no 4 here right now. So there is a method called remove. So those are the main things which you use on list. Append, insert, remove, and copy also. So copy you will be using at multiple places. So maybe those 4 are main things which you usually use. Can you also copy, paste your code here? So you are just pasting the output. I want to see what exactly you wrote there. Are you trying to print type of the variable? Or see I gave an example over here. How do we copy? So the variable dot copy and open close brackets. So this is how you copy any information. Maybe you are doing something little wrong there. Please check that, or don't use in a different way. Yeah, so you have to use like this variable dot copy of it. And these is the concept behind copy. So please remember that how exactly this copy works, because this is much more useful in many situations. So we'll be using the same copy method at multiple situations. That how exactly why do we use it? Maybe later on, if we get the real-time situation where we are trying to solve some programming questions, so we'll discuss copy once again at that time. Maybe you'll understand what exactly the logic behind it. Okay, so maybe move on before moving to unions or something. Please add on the chat if you have any questions on sets or anything. Okay, so even if I'm trying to put you lots of information into us, it's really tough for you guys to remember all those things. So I want also you guys to try it out from your side. That all the methods which I discuss, or maybe even if you Google something, you might get more. So even I myself, I don't use all the methods which are there inside useful on list or sets or tuples, whatever it is. So try to use it from your side. Try to remember, or maybe while you are using it, you will get to know a little more information. So sets won't follow any order. So you won't see any order inside a set. Even if you declare in some manner, it will be in a different manner. So the basic nature of set is that it won't follow any order of it. So that's why you see like this, that 8246. So you need to make some modifications if you want to sort it. So we have sort methods also on list. Maybe convert it to a list, sort it, and return back to set again. So that's how the set actually works. That it won't follow any order, and also it won't uh, have any duplicates inside that particular set. It will basically remove all the duplicates inside it. I hope that answered your question. So if you have any more questions, add on the chat. I guess there are no. So we will move on to more on sets. So maybe we'll just put over here. So I think most of the people, they also have knowledge on sets, how exactly set works and things. So let's suppose these two are two sets. Maybe this is a set of A and maybe this is a set of B. Before doing that, can you guys see my screen that I'm trying to draw on whiteboards? Okay. Okay. So there will be multiple programming question which you see that to find out union of uh, two lists or maybe two sets or maybe intersections or differences. So union basically all the information which is there inside A and B. So all the information which is there inside A and B will be union. So not just outer part of it. So basically the inside information which is there inside A and B. So union basically means that. And intersection basically is the common data which is there in between A and B. So in between A and B we have this part. So this is basically means intersection. This is basically intersection. And if you're trying to find differences, if you're trying to find a difference of B, basically A minus B, means only this part, this, excluding the part which is there in common between A and B. So this is A minus B, which is A difference of B. So this is most of time you will see these kind of question that try to find union of two list or intersection of two list or difference of two list and things like that. So in this situation, we have few built-in methods on sets which will help us to solve these kind of questions. So here we have set 1 and set 2, let's suppose. We So these two are the sets which I created. All those things to bottom. So here I want to find union. So let's suppose I created one variable called union. If you want to find union of two variables, so basically union means over here in these two sets is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are the unions because everything in set 1 and removing the common paths in between those two sets and everything in set 2. So common are 6 and 7 and if it will print 1 to 7 and removing 6 and 7 on set 1, set 2 and it will take out 8 and 9 as well. So this is how we do it. If you want to try to get the union, we have a method called union, same like how we have remove and things, we have union as well. To find union of two sets, we have here you can see the union part, the entire union part. So this is how it will basically get all the information inside two sets and do it. And in the same way, if you are trying to find intersection of it. So this is how we do intersection part, and try to print it, it's gonna return 6 and 7. Because these are the only two things which are there in common, 6 and 7. All the information which is over here inside A will be 1, 2, 3 and all those things, and here we have 6 and 7. And inside this we have, I think, 8, 9. So it will basically get these 6 and 7, which is the intersection part of it. And in the same way we have difference. So this is difference which you are trying to find. So when you are trying to find difference, it will basically remove all the information which is there in the second set which you are doing. It will remove 6, 7 from the initial one. And it's gonna get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because we are minusing it. So this is what it will, a minus b means. It will get this part without the intersection. And even b minus a will do in this way, without intersection, this part. It will basically return 8 minus 9 from there. Maybe if I do set 2 by set 1, it will give 8, 9 because you don't need this. Here I am doing b minus a like this, b minus a, and it will return 8 and 9. So that's how you find any information which you're trying to do, maybe a minus b or b minus a or union of it, intersection of it, and things. And we have one more thing called symmetric difference. Is what is how we write a symmetric difference. It will basically remove all the elements which is there inside the common, inside the intersection part of it. If you see this, it will remove all the intersection part of it, and it's gonna return all other information. There you can see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 8, 9. So whatever the information which is there inside 6, 7, will remove 6, 7. So instead of doing symmetric difference, we have, I mean, if you want to do in a normal way, you can find union of it. Union will be this, and you can find intersection of it. The intersection will be 6 and 7. If you try to do same thing, so here we are trying to find difference between union and intersection. You are getting the same. This is the same logic which we did. We tried to find the union of it. Union basically means all the information. Union is all the information, and this is the intersection. We are trying to remove intersection from the entire union, which is basically means symmetric difference. So we have a method for it, but if you want to do it in logical way from your side, you can do it in that this way as well, that removing intersection from entire union of it. So these are few methods which we can use to find union, intersection differences, and symmetry difference and things. In the same way, for how we have intersections and differences and symmetric difference, we have one more method which is there inside. It's called intersection update, difference update, and symmetry difference update. So here you are trying to put it inside a one more variable, because this particular part of line will return something, and there is one more method which will so if you do this, this will basically take all the information which is there in both the part of it, and it will replace that set one information with that whatever the execution which will happen over here. So if you are trying to maybe set one here, intersection is 6, 7, which is set one right now, because here it won't return anything. So whatever the execution which you are trying to do over here, intersection part, it will store in the set one variable. Same like how we have I think append. So we have append. So append doesn't return anything. It will basically append that value which you are trying to put here inside the bracket to that parent variable which you are given. So the same thing will happen over here also. That it will find the intersection between set one and set two, and that intersection value 6, 7 will store in this variable. In this situation, you don't need to create a new one, because if you want to do it in a simpler manner, maybe your requirement is like this, you can use intersection update. So we have same update also in set which we discussed here. Same update, same thing will happen over there also. That information which is there in set 2, it will add all those things and put it inside set 1. It will add set 1 and set 2, and everything will go to set 1. So same thing will happen over here. In the same way, we have difference update also. And, you can find difference in between, and your set one value will replace it right now, whatever the information it is. In the same way, we have symmetric update. So here even symmetric update will do the same. The difference is empty because we don't have any. Here we don't have any data inside it. That's why. After we are trying to find any difference, we don't see any data, because set 1 has 6 7 and set 2 has 6 7. So there is no difference in it. So that's why we don't see any overlap of information over here. And in the same way for symmetric difference update as well. So update basically won't return anything. It will update the parent element, parent variable which you are trying to give. So that's the only difference between difference update, or maybe symmetric update, and intersection update. So maybe if you want, you can remember update, but usually if you don't want to create a variable and store that information inside it, maybe something like how I did, storing union inside union variable, intersection inside intersection, difference and symmetric difference, like that. So these are most common things which we use. If you feel maybe any difficulty on understanding these parts, let me know on the chat. Maybe if you want, we can discuss once again. Please let me know on the chat if you have any questions, that if you feel any difficulty understanding how exactly union, intersection, or differences, symmetric difference works. Please respond on the chat if you have any questions, or even if you understood it, please respond on the chat. I want more responses from you guys. So if you feel update is little confusing for you, maybe you can ignore update for now. Maybe later on you can understand how exactly update works. There won't be much situation where we use update. So most of our situations will be interactions, intersections, or differences and things. If you feel that it's little complex or something, just ignore it for now. The only difference in between intersection and intersection update is that this part will return something. So if you try to print this, this will basically show you the intersection. But if you're trying to print this one, it will show you none. I'll show for intersection. Okay, so will do this. We are doing intersection update. This also. And so here you can see we got 6 and 7 and none. So intersection basically we find common elements in those two sets. So 6 and 7 are the common elements in both the sets. So we are getting something here. And in the same way, when you are trying to do intersection update, it won't return anything. It will return none. But instead of that, instead of returning something, it will return and store it in set 1, which is the parent element which you are trying to do that particular execution. So the basic use case of update is that it won't return something. Instead of returning it to someone, it will store that information in set 1 itself. That's the main use case of update. Even if you feel that update is little confusing or something, maybe you can ignore update for now. Maybe later on you won't get much of situation where you will be using update. But please remember intersection differences and symmetric differences and union. So these are the main things which you need to remember. So any more questions you can add on the chat as well. So these are all the things which we discussed right now. Union, intersection, section update, difference update, symmetric difference update. So even if you don't understand updates, all the update methods, make sure to remember the main ones: intersection, difference, and symmetric difference. Please let me know if you have any doubt on these main four. Even if you don't understand updates right now, maybe we can discuss later on once we get on to maybe solving bigger problems. Please add it on the chart so that we can, if you have any doubts, we can discuss, or else we can move forward. Okay, so there are three more methods which are there in sets, which are also useful to find out. Okay, so we'll see symmetric difference. So here we have a set 1 and here we have set 2. So this is A and this is B. And if you are trying to find A union of B, it's basically the information which is there inside A and inside B. But there might be common things which is there in between. So we shouldn't have duplicates of it. So we should remove duplicates, and we need only information only once when we are trying to find out the union part of it. So the same thing, even in the example which we see over here, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and below we have 6, 7, 8, 9. When we are trying to find out union part of these two, the basic thing which will happen over here is it will take all the value which is there in set 1 and it will remove which are already present in set 1. So 6 is already present, it won't add 6. 7 is already present, it won't add 7, and it will add 8 and 9 which is not there. So the entire union of these set 1 and set 2 will be 1 to 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is union. And when you try to do intersection, so this is the intersection part of it, which is basically means the common part in between two sets. So here the common elements in between two sets is 6 and 7, because 6 is repeated here also. So you don't order doesn't matter, but you need to have those elements. So we have 6 here, we have 7 here. So the intersection part of this will be 6 and 7. In the same way, we have difference of it. So difference basically means this part. So A difference of B means all the information of A and take out all the information of B also. So whatever the information which is there in B, we need to remove those information. So if you do in that way, we have to remove 6, 7, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9 from set 1. So set 1 has 6 and set 1 has 7, and it will find out 8. 8 is not there. 9 and 8, 9 also is not there. So it will remove 6 and 7. So when you are trying to find difference of it, it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will be the difference. So here you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the difference, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is the union. And in the same way for intersection, would be 6 and 7. But symmetric difference means every data which is there in both the sets, set 1 and set 2, and remove this intersection part. I don't want this intersection part inside this. So this basically means symmetric difference. Nothing but union minus intersection. So here we are trying to find union of everything, and we are removing intersection part of it, which is basically means union minus intersection. So this is how we also did here that union variable which we created. We found out union and we found out intersection. So union is this one, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and intersection is 6 and 7. So symmetric difference means union minus difference, and it will remove 6 and 7, and it will return 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 589. So that will be the output of it. 589. We have an inbuilt method for that, which is symmetric difference. And if you don't remember symmetric difference, you can use in bit way that you can find union and you can find intersection, you can find difference of it. So that's the main use of symmetric difference. Did you get that, Hemant, or you feel any difficulty again? Maybe if anybody else have any questions on that one, maybe we can discuss. So instead of moving forward, I'll share this particular part of code. If you guys want to take a note of it, please take a note of it. I'll give maybe 5 minutes of time. Take this part of note. So you don't need to remember intersection update or maybe any other updates. If you feel little difficult, or maybe if you feel you are taking time to understand updates, you can ignore updates for now. Maybe later on when we get the real use case, you will actually understand the use, what is the use of updates. So please take a note of it. I'll give 5 minutes of time. So even if you want to try it from your end, try it out. And maybe after 5 minutes, you can also let me know if you have any questions. I'm keeping this open. Okay, so let's say we have kept S1 equal to S2, and when S2 is altered, so S1 also changes in this case. So then when S1 is changed, will S2 also changes? No. So that won't happen. So we are not trying to do in that way, but maybe I didn't read your question properly. Maybe if you, I think most of the people, they feel difficulty on updates. Maybe also I will give little overview of update again. So even if you feel maybe little difficult that what exactly is update works, don't feel that it's little maybe not understandable or something, but it's maybe a little tricky to you exactly get what this behavior in between these updates, all the update things which we do. So when we do this, so set one dot intersection, which is mean which will try to find out 6,7, and when we are doing that, it's gonna return the data of 6 and 7. So this particular thing will return 6 and 7. But when you are trying to do this, the below part, set intersection of intersection update of set 2. This will also return some information, but instead of returning it to you when you are trying to print it, it will return and store it in set 1, the variable which we are trying to do. So that's the only difference, that all the updates won't return anything. It will basically return none. It will do all those modification to the parent element. And in the same way, if you are trying to use intersection, not intersection updates or any other updates, so this will return something where you need to store any of the variable. Maybe in clear example, if I'm trying to do these things in print statements, so here on the above, if here I'm trying to print something. So initially I declared intersection, let's suppose, as none, and here I did set one intersection off and set one intersection update off, and here I am trying to print intersection, and I'll also print set one also maybe. Here I'm trying to print intersection and set one. Yeah, so here it's basically none over here. Maybe we'll declare it as an empty set. So here you can see we have intersection as null because we did some execution over here, which will return something. We are not storing this information inside intersection, but here also we are not storing anything. We are just trying to print it. But this is an execution which will return something, and instead of storing in any other variable, it will replace the content which is there inside set one. So before set one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and after this line, it will find a integration intersection part of it, which is 6 and 7. So the intersection data, it will go to set one directly after this particular line of execution which we do. So if you here you can see that set one is 6 and 7 right now, because this particular won't return anything. Here also you can see it return none. Intersection update return none. So it won't return any data. Instead, it will return and it will update the variable which you are trying to do. And if you are trying to print the set one, this will be the same. So instead of doing this, so here you can see intersection and set one both are same now, because here this is returning something and putting inside intersection. In the same way, here I'm doing intersection also, which will replace set one. So the set one will be 6 and 7 right now. So that's how basically all the updates works. Instead of returning something, it will return and it will update the parent element or the element which we are trying to do. So even if you feel that you have any confusion basically that how exactly this update works, you don't need to worry much. Maybe we will discuss later on that how exactly this update works, the main use case of these updates. Most of situation you won't, even in your competitive programming languages, you won't use updates much, but it's completely depends upon your situation. Maybe if you want to optimize your code, instead of using a variable, if you want to do something like this, maybe in those situations, instead of declaring a variable, so every variable you declare, it will allocate some space. So you're taking some space, which is maybe in few programs you will have limited space you can use. So in those situations, you can use updates, which will update the parent one. So those are the main use case of intersections. Updates, which will help you to use lesser spaces, or maybe instead of trying to do something new, you can do it in that way using updates. So that's the main use case of updates. That we will discuss maybe while we get one real-time example. So then you will understand the real use case of updates. So maybe later on we'll solve some bigger problems. Then you will have clear idea how exactly all these updates and things works. Well, I think I forgot to answer today's question. I didn't read it. So let's say we kept S1 equal to S2. Okay, so you are trying to put S2 information inside S1. Okay, so when S2 is altered, okay, S1 also changes. Okay, when we are trying to change S1 is changed and S will also change. Yes, so because both the variables are pointing to one location itself. Even if you are trying to change from variable S1 or variable S2, it doesn't matter. Both will reflect it, because if both will point to one location itself. So even if you alter from any of the variables, you will see the difference in both the variables, as you are trying to access that location which is referenced. You're not copying it. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please take a note of this union, intersection and things. This is much important. Maybe you'll see at lots of places. So that's why. You don't need these. So this is what we are trying to do now. Here, please take a note of these four data. And if you have any questions, add it on the chart. I'll just give some 2 to 3 minutes. Just quickly take the note of. So we'll have 3 more important things which are there in sets. We'll discuss those things, and maybe after that we can move on to other parts of sections. and I'm just declaring some other data. Maybe I'll use 678 itself or not. So we need to find whether if there is any intersection part of it. Maybe right now we have 6 and 7, which is the intersection part of it. If you want to find if intersection, we have a method called is disjoint. So if set 1 and set 2 have any intersection values or not. So here, so it's in a reverse manner. It won't return if there is any intersection part of it. It will basically, is disjoint basically means both the sets which is we are trying to see over here are unique or not. I mean, if there is any information which is there here or not. So we want these two things to be unique. So let's suppose maybe set 2 is like this. It is like 8, 9. So when we are trying to find in this way, it will basically return true because these two are completely disjoint. So disjoint here you can see that A and B are like this. We don't have any common elements. We are trying to find whether if A and B, both the two sets are disjoint or not. So that's one. That's one method which we can use if we want to find if both the sets are having any intersection information or they are joined or disjoint completely. So that's one method. And in the same way we have set A is subset of set B. So here you can see if set A is a subset of set B, which means we have a B over here, which is B, and that particular part of code will return if B is completely inside A or not. Every element inside A is there inside B or not. So that's what the meaning behind it. So maybe if we are doing like this. So 1, 2, 3, and here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And so here you can see if set 1 is subset of set 2. Here we are getting 2 because 1, 2, 3 elements are present inside 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is what it will return whether if all the elements of that first variable which you are giving are there inside the second variable or not. So here 1, 2, 3 already available in set 2, so this will return true. In the same way, subset we can do in reverse way, also called superset. If set A is superset of set B. Superset, we have a method called superset which will help us to do those things. If set 1 of is superset of set 2 or not, which is basically mean in a reverse way how we are doing subset. If you try to run this particular one, it will return false. But if you interchain these, trying to interchain this one, this will return true. So here these two are same. Here we are trying to find if set 1 is there, is inside the circle of set 2 or not. Here is set 2, in the same way we are writing a different manner, that's it. If set 1 is there inside the set 2 or not. This is a superset. So every set, the entire set will be superset, and the information which is there inside it, if there is any sets which are there inside it, these are subsets. So this is sub and this is super. So that's the difference. Maybe you also find these questions are sometimes that if you can tell me whether these two sets are joint or disjoint, or maybe if these having any subsets or not, things like that. Maybe you can take a note of these things also, that what's how exactly these things works, and if you want to try it out from your end, you can also try it out. These are all the things which are inside a set. So every information which is there inside, every method which you are trying to discuss today or which is there, are very useful. Each and every method which you see over here, it might be a program for your competitive exams. In other languages, you might not see the same. All the methods which are already pre-built in. So if you also have any questions, maybe you can add it on the chat. Someone add. Can you initialize set in set builder form? You can initialize in that way, but it would be a little complex for you to. I mean, even if you try to understand, but it's little difficult for all of us to understand it. So there are much more concepts which we need to discuss. So maybe these kind of things we will do after we try to solve some programming question. Then everybody will understand that how exactly we do build us up, forms creation and everything. So when we are trying to getting into some of object-oriented programs, so then we might get a chance to discuss all those kind of things. Okay, so I'll explain it from the diagram, so it would be much easier for you to understand. So disjoint basically means, so here in previous example we were seeing two sets here, A and B, and this is intersection because we have a common elements here. So that disjoint will say whether if these two sets are not interlinked at all. That means we don't have any common elements. It will basically return that. So here we don't have any common elements, and A and B are disjoint right now. So this is how it would be. Maybe you will get a question like this. Maybe they won't directly ask you that whether these two are disjoints or things, but maybe you will get a question like, maybe list one of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these two are the list which you give, which you will be getting in your exam, and they'll ask you whether any of the elements which are present in list 1 are present in list 2 or not. So in this situation, you can do using intersection also. If you want to find if there are any common elements in this situation, you need to convert these into sets. So because all the methods which we discussed are on sets. So we'll write like this. Maybe we can do it in single line. So right now I'll explain in multiple lines. We have two sets right now, and we are trying to find if set list 1 is disjoint of is set list 2. So in this situation, we are trying to print if there are any common elements. So this will do in a reverse manner. So if you want to get the output which you actually wanted, you need to take a note of it. Maybe it's trying to show you in a different manner, in a reverse manner. So if you are getting true means it's basically means false, like that. Here they are asking that if there is any elements which are present in this one are there in this or not. So this will disjoint basically means if those two are separated or not. It will basically return opposite to the expectation of your program. So in those situations, you can use not to print those kind of information. So here you are getting booleans. All the booleans which you are seeing over here are basically means true and false. The booleans which you will get. So all the disjoint or maybe supersets and each subset which will return booleans, whether true or false. So you will be getting a question like this, and if you want to print whether do you have any common elements inside these things or not, so you can do it in this way, altering in the same manner. So you can do all the things in one line also. So here we are trying to do these many things, and if you want to do the same thing in one line, is disjoint of these. So you won't have these so this problem is solved by only this particular single line. So here you can see that these two are disjointed right now, but your output should be false because you are expecting something different here. But you'll get a program like this. They won't directly ask you whether these two sets are disjoint or things like that. Instead of that, they'll give you these sets, or maybe they'll give you two list and they'll ask you to find out if elements in list 1 is present in elements in list 2 or not. So maybe this will be useful in these kind of situations. Maybe you can directly convert all these lists into a sets and you can manipulate. And maybe there can be programs where they want you to remove all duplicates. So right now you have 5, and if I add one more 5, and they'll give a program to like this. Program to remove duplicates in list 1. So in this situation, you can directly convert it to a set. So here you are converting it to set, and when you are trying to print it, here you can see 5 is not there. The extra 5 which is there before, now it's not there, but it's a set here. So you can convert it to list again. So everything, so the entire program. So this one common program which you see at multiple places, that removing duplicates from a list. So this line is the only answer. So just this some 10 to 12 of characters of code will do the entire program, which will, right now we are converting a list to set. After converting to set, it will remove all duplicates. After removing duplicates, we are converting it to list again. So here, after we try to run it, here you can see that we are printing as a list. So this is how we C programs. You won't get questions like directly find disjoint or subsets, intersection, and things. They'll ask you to find if there are any common elements. So in those situations, you can convert these two into sets and find intersection. If there is an intersection, that means there are few common elements, and like that. And if they'll ask you to merge two lists. So there are few simple operators which will add to list like this, but it's a little difficult for you to find differences. So they want you to remove all the elements. At a program, all elements of list 2 in list 1. If they're asking you to remove all elements of list 2, all 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inside here. So right now you don't have it. Maybe if I'm adding 6 over here, so they want you to remove 6 from here. Maybe in that situation you can use here we are converting list 1 into set, and we are finding difference of list 2, and again we are converting it back to list again. So here you can see there is no 6 list after removing all the elements. list 1 after removing all the elements of list 2. So this would be little easy for you guys to do in just one line itself. So that's the main use case of these things. You will get programs like this. So maybe you can take a note of these programs. So usually maybe every day when I get situation like this, we'll do problem solving like this, like doing in one line and things like that. Maybe you guys can take a note of that one. Also have any questions, please add it on the chat. Maybe by the time you guys are taking note down of it, maybe if I remember some similar problems which you might get on your test, I'll add it directly parallelly over there. So here you can see one more program which you might get that. Write a program to add to list. So right now we are adding these two lists and I want to remove duplicates. So if you want to remove duplicates, you can convert into a sets and do it. So as soon as you convert it to set, you can do in this way. And there's one more method to do the duplicates is finding set of it. Okay, so we have to we need to do it directly after adding it, because right now we have duplicates in different sets. So here you got all the data without duplicates. So even if duplicates doesn't matter, you can do this in this way. So parallel, if you have any questions, add it on the chat. So take down these kind of programs which you can do in single line. You don't need to write multiple lines of code, which in Python you can solve it by writing single lines like this. In the same way, if you in this situation, we just so this is how you get programs in your test. Most commonly, you will be getting questions like this. They'll be giving one set, one list or two list, maybe remove duplicates or find out duplicates, and things like that. So maybe maybe you might get a problem like this. List one. So if you want to find duplicate elements inside list one, so we have list one initially, uh, the main one, and we are trying to find out set of it. So we will add duplicates here. So we have duplicates as 5 and 6. I think we can directly find the if you're trying to find also, if someone have any questions, maybe you can add it on the chat on the above programs which we have written, or maybe even if you don't understand the question, maybe I can explain it if any of the question required. So maybe I'll mark question numbers. So if you have any questions regarding any of the programs which we have written on above, please let me know. So, but please take a note of all these questions, that these are little important. You might see these kind of question at common places. Even if you don't see this as a program, you might see this as a requirement in one of your bigger program, that you need to find differences in between two list or common elements, removing common elements, and adding two list completely, and things like that. So maybe you can focus on understanding these programming questions. If you have any questions, maybe you can add it on the chat. So before that, we'll try to find problem with this one. So here we are trying to find duplicates inside list one. So we don't need any other list also. So when we are trying to find duplicates, so basically we need 5 and 6 from over there. So here I'm trying to find set of list one, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I'll try to remove these information from the entire one. So we can do all these things using iteration. So when we are using any looping or iterating inside any of an array, so we can write these programs in maybe some 5 to 10 lines of code. But using sets, it will be much easier for you to do directly. So you don't need to worry much of it. I think we just have 3 more minutes. So before wrapping up, if you have any questions, please add it on the chat so that we can discuss. So I want to discuss this one in much simpler way when we get to looping. So maybe then you will understand the complexity of this one. So how do we find duplicates? Or so there are built-in methods which you can use it by importing packages, but take a note of this one. We will discuss when we are discussing about loops, that how do we loop it, how do we loop an entire array, each and every information. So right now you can see that I have some 6, 7, 8 like that, 6, 7, 8 of numbers. But if there are 20,000, 30,000, you don't know what's the count of it. Or you need to know some value which is there inside between, and you cannot write like list one of 0, list one of 1, 2, 3 like that. So for that we will use looping. So we can see those things. Maybe I want to give much more points on this one, but those concepts are related to looping. So I don't want to merge all those things over here. So we will discuss this particular program over there. You can take note of all 5 other programs which are there on top. If you have any questions, write it on the chat. So I think we are much close to our closing session. So please let me know if you have any questions on your entire class today. Anyone want to take a note of it? Please take a note of it. So before we wrap up, please let me know on the chat if you have any questions, so that we'll understand if everybody is clear or not. So on tomorrow's class, maybe we will discuss what are dictionaries. We'll declare this as a dict. So we'll discuss on dictionaries, how do we create dictionaries or how do we add information. So list and dictionaries are main important things in programming. So these two you will be using at most of situations or most of your programs. You will get your inputs for any of your program either in list or either in dictionary. So you need to understand much more on list and sets, tuple, and dictionary. How do we access and things. So maybe on it's much easier if you understand it. Maybe you might feel little complex if you drop out somewhere. So maybe we'll discuss. We'll take some time tomorrow. Clearly, I'll explain how do we go inside the data of any dictionary. How do we declare information inside it and things. Okay, I guess there are no questions. I hope everybody take a note of it. So maybe after tomorrow's class, maybe Sunday or Monday, I'll share all the notes which we had done in previous classes. Maybe things like this, everything. I won't change anything. I'll just directly share you all with these. And if you want, you can directly uncomment all. On VS Code, there is one shortcut if you want to uncomment multiple lines at once or comment multiple lines at once. Control and slash, basically control and question mark. So we'll comment all lines at a time. Select it. So maybe this is helpful command for you guys also. That's only on VS Code. Maybe this will be there on some other IDEs also. But I don't think it will be on Notepad. Okay, I think nobody has any questions. So we'll wrap this up. So I hope everybody had taken notes of all these questions of how can we do this. So let's meet tomorrow and we'll discuss much more on other things, and we'll get on to looping. Maybe I think tomorrow won't be sufficient. Maybe on Monday we'll try to discuss about for loops and things. Okay. Thank you everybody. Thanks for joining the call. Please ask your friends to join every day. I think count is decreasing a little. So right today I think we saw some 70 or something. So ask everybody to join, because right now you need to learn Python. Out of many other languages, most of the people prefer Python right now. So you need to have little knowledge on Python. Maybe not like complete knowledge. Maybe understanding of it will be helpful for you guys. So please ask your friends also to join, so even they can also learn parallelly. So when is your external exams? Maybe I'll discuss this with the team. So this would be helpful, because if most of the people are feeling in that way, so why do we have these classes parallelly instead of wasting your time, or instead of diverging it like that? Labs are at next week. So you don't have any exams this week? Do you have any exams this week? This entire week? Sims are from 7th March. Okay, so people are trying to learn something on lab. Okay. Okay, maybe I'll discuss this with team also, that do we have to take a break for some time? So they already informed that you guys have an exams from somewhere first week of March. So maybe we need to end at some point, maybe pause at some point and continue after your exams. So when's your last day of exams? Maybe after all the exams, or your semester exam, or maybe so when will be your supplies exams or things, so that I can also discuss with team and plan accordingly. When is the last exam date? March 23rd. Okay, I think we have lots of time over here. So maybe let me ask with the team, so how exactly we need to go forward. Okay, thanks for your information. I'll take a note of it, and I'll also discuss with them that you are having exams till 23rd of March. 23rd of March, which is uh, mid of a week. And okay, fine. I'll discuss with the team. I think that's all for today. If you have any questions, please take a note down. So we'll discuss tomorrow, and we can solve those things. And please take a note down of the programs which we did today, which can be helpful later. Okay, thank you everybody for joining. I'm ending this session.